What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. And today's video is an exciting one. I am just about to start my 6th week of another Peloton split. I've already done Rebecca Kennedy's 3-day split for 6 weeks and made a video about that. And I took a little bit of a break and then logged back in and have done 6 weeks of Jess's 3-day intermediate split. And in this video, I'm gonna go through my 3 days, I'm gonna give my thoughts, and I'm definitely gonna be comparing it to Rebecca Kennedy's a lot just because these are the only 2 splits that I've really locked in and completed the 6 weeks for. I have done pretty much every single split on the Peloton platform, but for only 1 week. And I feel like this split really highlighted to me how my opinion of a split can change as I take it week over week. And yeah, it was just like very, very interesting. So the description of this program is step up your fitness game with Jess's intermediate 3-day split. Target specific muscle groups and lift heavier weights as you increase strength and build muscle. Repeat the program, track your progress, and increase weight as you go. And it is 3 days, 45 minutes each day, so very similar to Rebecca Kennedy's split. Day 1, which is the class that we're going to be doing today, is a 45-minute upper body push class, tagged intermediate. The description is target your chest, shoulders, and triceps in this dynamic upper body push workout. And this one was interesting. I am a known push day hater. I am just not a big push girl. I really don't like push-ups. And I at first liked that this was day 1 because it's nice. You just do it, you get it over with, you're set up for the rest of the week to not do push again. But honestly, as time went by, I actually think that push day is my favorite day in this split, which I can't decide if it's because it's a good push day or if it's because I like the other 2 classes even less. But at least we know I do enjoy today's workout. So with that, I'm gonna head to the gym, hit the mat, knock out this class, and then we'll talk about my weight progression and final thoughts on day 1 afterwards. Definitely a good way to kick off the split, but it's hard. Every day we're out here and we're like really pushing the weights. I do feel like that's the biggest difference of like when I'm repeating a split versus just like doing random strength classes or just doing random splits, is that I know exactly what's coming. Like I write down every single move and then what weight I've been using and like if I think I need to go up or not. So every single move, like I am working the absolute hardest. But we'll start with warm-up. The warm-up for today, I initially did not like, but as I moved through the weeks, I appreciated more. It's a 5-minute warm-up, and my gripe at the beginning was that there is shoulder cars. So like essentially going like this and like rotating the shoulder for 1.5 minutes on each side, which is quite long. And I still don't know if it's like the most efficient way of warming up, but I do think that it's like an important move now. And like, at first I was bored and thinking like, this is just going on too long, but now I feel like I appreciate it more knowing what's going to come and knowing I'm gonna be lifting really heavy, that I'm okay with it. Then we do 1 minute of inchworm walkouts with a push-up, and that's fine. And then 1 minute of halos. And like, I absolutely love halos. Halos are one of my favorite moves. So there is a little bit of weighted work in the warm-up with the halos, but she says to use your light weight. And like, yeah, I don't have any issue with that. Then we get into the main set, and today's class is very structured, which I can appreciate. There are 4 main movements, and for 3 of the 4 movements, they follow the same exact pattern, which is 45 seconds off, and then there is increasing recovery. So you do each move 4 times. The first time you have 30 seconds off, the second time you have 45 seconds off, the third time you have 1 minute off, and then in between the sets, you have 1 minute and 15 seconds off. And I am still so conflicted if I like this recovery or not. Obviously, it feels very good at the end of the set when you're doing like rounds 3 and 4, and that is when you're the most tired. So it feels really good to have like that long recovery then. But on the flip side, I feel like round 2 just feels awful because you're lifting these really heavy weights in round 1. It's the first time that you've been doing the move, and then you only have 30 seconds before you're going into round 2 again. I also feel like this setup makes it hard for me to go up in weight because typically I try to go up in weight like at the beginning of the set. Like I'm not trying to go up at the end because I'm already tired. But then the round 2 is just absolutely killer, especially if you're like going up in weight. So like for round 1, the first time you go up and then you only have 30 seconds before going into round 2. So I am still very unsure if I like it, but I think I lean towards not liking it. I would rather just have like 45 seconds the entire time than this increasing recovery. But some days I like it more than other days. It just like really depends. Our first move is a chest press in today's split, which I like because we're doing the heaviest weights first. And the chest press is nice because she does throw in like a warm-up chest press before we actually start our 4 chest press rounds, where we use a lighter weight. She's like, just to get used to the move, used to lifting the weights. So in my warm-up set, I use 20 pounds, and she does say like, this should be really, really easy for you. You're aiming for 12 reps in 45 seconds. And then for the next 4 rounds, my actual weight, I use 30 pounds this entire split. Last week, I did try to go up to 35 pounds and it went really horribly. I don't know, 30 pounds I feel very comfortable with. Like I'm not hitting like super crazy over the 12 reps. Like sometimes I do 13, sometimes I can eke out 14. But when I went up to 35, like my arms were absolutely shaking. You do keep the weights held above you, like, and you do one at a time. So I think that does add difficulty, I guess, versus doing one at a time and having the weights in a resting position. But yeah, I just don't think that I can go up to 35 anytime soon. I'm just still stuck at the 30. Then the next straight set move is an overhead extension. And this again, I used 30 pounds the entire 6 weeks, and I am definitely not close to going up there either. This is in a standing position and you just have the one weight behind you. Even with the 30 pounds, like it is definitely still very hard, but I feel like I flare my ribs a little bit. Watching back when I record myself, it's not that bad, but I feel like with 35 pounds, I don't even want to try because I just know that I'll be flaring too much. And the 30 pounds still feels really hard. Sometimes I have to like rest the dumbbell on my head, like during the set. So I'm still getting like 10 to 12 reps in, which is what the aim is, but definitely don't see myself going up in that anytime in the future. Then we go into our first superset, which is 2 different moves, 30 seconds of one, then immediately 30 seconds of the other, and then 45 seconds rest. And we do this 3 times. And this is plank marches and then lateral raises. I did 15 pounds for the lateral raises, again for the full 6 weeks, and I really don't see myself going up to 20 anytime soon. I feel like I'll be a broken record, but if I had 17.5, maybe I would try. It just feels like 20 is such a big leap, and honestly 15 pounds lateral raises are really impressive for me. I do think even though I don't have a lot of weight progression, especially in day 1, the first half, like I didn't progress at all, I feel a lot more comfortable in these moves. I'm getting more reps in, and like, yeah, I do feel like I'm getting stronger and more confident. It's just a lot to go up in weight. I do think that with Rebecca Kennedy's split, I saw a ton of progress, but that's the first time that I ever repeated a split 6 times. So it's not fake progress. It's just easier to make progress when you're a beginner versus like, these are already quite difficult weights for me. Then after the superset, which I actually really like that superset, I do feel like it almost gives you a little bit of a break with that 45 seconds of recovery after each minute. It feels good, and like plank marches to me are not hard, so I like that as like a little break. We go into alternating shoulder presses. Again, we are in the standing position and we are just doing one at a time. I started doing these with 20 pounds in week 1, and 20 pounds is definitely like an aggressive shoulder press weight for me. Like 15 was kind of my base. But 20 felt good. And then since week 3, I've been trying to go up to 25. And every single week, I can only do one round. So I did 1 round in week 3, 1 round in week 4, 1 round in week 5 of 25 pounds, and then went down to 20 pounds. And then in week 6, I did 2 rounds of 25. But kind of what I was saying earlier, it's just like absolute killer doing it as the first round and then going into the second round with only 30 seconds of recovery. And again, my biggest concern here is rib flare and form. I do feel like I am getting there, and if I keep repeating this split, I can get up to 25 pounds eventually. Like, it was really motivating to be able to do 2 rounds this week, but I was like, even with the 45 seconds of recovery before round 3, if I don't go down to 20 pounds, I am just gonna like flare my ribs like crazy, and I don't want to do that. I want to have the better form. So we're kind of at an impasse here, but I'm going to say we made a little bit of progress. And then our 4th final straight set is a little bit of a different format, and she plays with this format in other days of the split as well. But it's tricep kickbacks just on one side. So basically, you are leaning forward, you have one of your knees out, and you have your elbow on the knee, and then you're just doing tricep kickbacks on one side. And because you're doing this, you do 30 seconds one side, 10 seconds of like transition time to get to the other side, and then 30 seconds on the other side, 30 seconds rest, and then repeat that 4 times. And we don't have increasing recovery because she's like, yeah, you're like technically getting recovery when you're doing the tricep kickbacks on the other side, which is true, I guess. I definitely wouldn't mind increasing recovery, but I also feel like I also just kind of need to dissociate during the tricep kickbacks and just go through it. So honestly, like, it's not awful. I feel like I can go in every set pretty fresh, and I just want to get them over with as quick as possible. Week 1, I started at 15 pounds, and then week 2, I went up to 20, and I've been at 20 since. I don't see myself going up to 25 anytime soon. Honestly, 20 pounds for a tricep kickback is quite aggressive for me, but it feels good. I'm hitting like the number of reps. She says aim for, I believe, 10 to 12, and I hit around 10. So yeah, you know, we're grinding through. It's definitely still hard. I'm definitely still pushing myself. I'm happy with that weight. And then the final superset is not my favorite, but I always know it's coming because it is 30 seconds of chest flies, 30 seconds of push-ups, and then 45 seconds rest, repeated 3 times. And then right at the end, we go directly into a plank for 30 seconds, plank party to finish it out. For the chest flies, I started in week 1, 15 pounds, and then went up to 20 pounds in week 3. Chest flies and reverse flies have always been very, very weak muscles for me. I always feel like I have to do less than what they're saying. And I am still not convinced I'm doing chest flies right, but I am doing them different than I used to be doing them in this split. Just is like, think of it like you're giving like, you know, a distant family member a hug where you're like kind of below and you're like going like this. And I feel like before I had them more up and I would try to open wider, which was putting a lot of strain on my forearm. So I definitely am doing them different. And I think that's why I could go up to 20. And I like them more the way that I'm doing them now. So hopefully this is the right way to do them. But yeah, definitely hard. But the real killer is the push-ups here. I mean, after doing 45 minutes of other shoulder and tricep moves, the push-ups are just absolute death. I followed the same like pattern as I did in the Rebecca Kennedy split that I did, where each week number is how many push-ups I need to do off my knees each round. So today I did 6 push-ups off my knees for each round of push-ups, and man, oh man, that was very, very hard, but we pushed through it. I definitely have to take some breaks. Like even during the plank, my arms are just like shaking, which does show that we had a good workout, but putting push-ups at the end of push day is a little diabolical to me, but it's very common. A lot of instructors do it. I guess it's nice because you don't have weighted work at the end, but I would rather knock them out at the beginning because they're just so hard for me. But we got through it, and then the class was over. A couple of thoughts. I mean, first off, the overhead extensions are the absolute hardest move for me in today's class. So I kind of like that they're somewhat at the beginning, so we pushed through it. I definitely like that we do the heavyweight movements first. We'll kind of get to that later on, but in the pool day, it's the reverse where we do heavy movements at the end, and I like really do not like that. So I like that we're doing the 30-pound movements at the beginning when we're more fresh. There's definitely more core in this entire split than the Rebecca Kennedy split, which I like because I do think I need to work out core, but I also feel like then the core just takes away from other moves. So it's just a trade-off, right? Like we're doing more core, but because we're doing more core, we're doing less arms. I feel like that really shines through more on the legging core day, but we'll get there when we get there. And yeah, my other thing that I don't like, which I think this is just a preference thing, I really prefer to do the arm movements when we're like in a standing position. I'd rather be on my knees. I feel like it's easier for me to keep form then. And I know people will say just do the moves on your knees. I always just follow what the instructor does, but I could modify it. I just feel like when I'm on my knees, it's harder to be having bad form. When I'm standing up, I feel like it's easier to use heavier weight, but then have bad form. But I would be curious if you feel the same way or if that's just like a me thing. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just feel like when I'm standing, my form can get really bad really, really quickly. And overall, also compared to Rebecca Kennedy's split, I feel like the moves are way more straightforward. Like Rebecca Kennedy's are pretty straightforward as well, but she has, you know, some crazy things in there like the dirty 30s. But Jess, it's like, you know, just the one move, at most a superset with two moves. But I feel like it's almost easier because of that, or because there's like no like really crazy endurance, that it's harder to get stronger. But I also think part of my problem is that I saw all these gains with the Rebecca Kennedy split because it was the first one that I was repeating a lot, and now it's just harder to continue that momentum because it's like I can't just keep increasing 5 to 10 pounds every single 6 weeks. Like at some point I will reach my natural limit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not upset with the amount of progress I made during day one over the past 6 weeks. And I do feel like I am getting a lot more confident in my form and the number of reps I did. Like week one was rough and now I feel more confident, but it's still definitely hard. For difficulty, I would give this like a 8.5 out of 10. I do feel like I just said I don't think it's that hard, but at the same time, it is like I take notes and like am constantly trying to push myself on weight, even if I'm failing. And yeah, like trying those 35-pound chest presses, that was humbling last week. I will remember that for a while. Enjoyability, I would give this like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I do think that this is my favorite day. And I do think for a 45-minute class, it does pass by pretty quickly, which I appreciate. And I like the predictability of it. I like that I know how much recovery I'm going to get. And I also really like Jess's music. I do think that that for me is better than Rebecca Kennedy's music. She plays kind of like a lot of rap, a lot of like kind of party music. It hypes me up. And I also feel like she always has like good finisher songs that I'm like, yeah, like let me push through with that. So overall, enjoyable day and a hard day. And then I did my 10-minute stretch. I will say now I do absolute minimum 10-minute of stretches after every single class. Sometimes I do even more than that. When I am in the strength class, I'm literally like, I can't wait till this is over and I can start stretching. So repeating these splits have really made me a stretching girl because I was not a big stretcher before this, but when you're doing these heavy weights, you definitely need to stretch. So I think those are all my thoughts on day one, and I will see you when I get into the next split class. It is now the next day, and typically I've been doing this split on either Sunday, Monday, Thursday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, depending on the week. And I really have had no problem having no rest day in between the first and second day. In general, I'm not very sore from this split. I'm the most sore on leg day, which is today, and then I take off subsequent days, so it works out. But compared to Rebecca Kennedy's split, I feel like I was really sore every single day. The thing is I'm not sore from yesterday, but yesterday I did not feel like there was anywhere I could push the weight. Like I was pushing the weight as hard as I could. Every rep was a struggle, especially towards the end. So I don't really know. I don't know if that's normal to kind of get more used to lifting heavy, and because I'm not going up as often that I'm less sore. But that is the fact of the matter. It is nice to not be sore, but it's also like, should I be going harder? I don't know, but I feel like I can't. So today is day 3 of the split. It is a 45-minute legs and core class. The description is, this split workout focuses on strengthening your largest muscles while also improving core and lower back stability. And I do like this class. We'll get into like specific moves after the class, but my biggest gripe with it is when you only do legs once a week and you're also splitting it with core time, there's just like not enough legs in it for me, I think. But I also get sore from this class compared to the other ones. So, jury's still out. But I do have in my notes today that I need to go up weight on something because last week felt a little too easy. So we'll see what I get up to. Let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out the second class in this 3-day split. It is now a little later in the day. When I came back from working out, there's still like a ton of construction happening in my building, so it was very loud. But don't worry, I remember clearly and I already feel my butt getting sore. I really pushed the weight today, but I thought it was a good way to wrap up the 6th week. I was like, you know what, we're just gonna try it, and worst comes to worst, we can go down on weight. So we start off, I believe we have like a 5 or 6 minute warm up. This warm up is pretty typical. We do things like 90-90s, which I actually really like them. I feel like I've appreciated it more since doing them in this split. And she does this thing where you like lift up your butt and hip while you're in the 90-90 formation. And I don't know if I've ever done that before, but it really activates the glute and it really gets you warmed up. So it is an effective warm up. The only other thing to note is there are weighted clamshells. So there is weighted work in the warm up, which I'm usually not a fan of, but I am not that against weighted clamshells in the warm up. I feel like Jess keeps slipping in some weighted work into the warm up, but they're all like moves I don't mind. So I don't hate it. Then we got into our first like main move of the day, and basically there's only 2 main moves of the day because they're both unilateral work, so they take a lot of time to do. So the first move is a split squat, but the trick with this split squat, there's a lot happening, is whatever leg you have back, you have a dumbbell racked up that is lighter than the dumbbell you have in your other hand for your forward leg that you're just hanging by your side, and that one is heavier. So it's like a split stance where like one is racked up, one is lower, and then it's also different weights. So you're like really engaging your core during this. And I'm not a huge fan of split squats. So first off, I am glad that it's the first move and we get it out of the way. But I also don't hate these split squats. I feel like this makes it kind of interesting. And I also think you can go a lot heavier than you think you can. So for the first week, I went up a lot even throughout the move. We did it 4 times and it was 45 seconds one side, 30 seconds rest, 45 seconds the other side, 30 seconds rest. So this was quite a long set and you got a lot of recovery for the amount of work you were doing. But I appreciated it, especially in the first day when sometimes we did unilateral work, you only got 10 seconds to switch sides. Like, no, she gave you the full recovery in between switching sides, which I like because then you can like push the weight even more. So the first week I did 30 pounds as my heavy weight and then 15 pounds as my light weight. Then I went up to 30-20 and then I went up to 35-20. So even in the first day, I just felt like I could keep going up. Like it took a while to figure out what was the right spot for me just because this is such a weird move that besides the split I've never done before. Then in week 4, I went up to 40-20. And then today in week 6, I'm like, all right, full send. I know last week I was like, this feels a little bit easy. I went up to 45-20, which man was very, very hard, but I'm very proud of pushing myself and being able to go up to the 45 pounds. And that will come back later because basically you only need like one heavy weight. And I was doing 40 pounds for the split squat and 40 pounds for the second movement, which is deadlifts. And I was like, you know what, we're just gonna go up to 45 on both and see how it is. And it was a lot to do all in one day, but I'm glad I did it. Before we got into the second main move though, we had a break for a core set, which was a superset. It was 30 seconds on of one move, 30 seconds on of the next move, and then 30 seconds off 3 times. The first move was a dumbbell pass through and the second move was a Russian twist, both weighted. I used 120-pound. I feel like that's the correct weight for me. Maybe for the dumbbell pass through, I could go up a little bit more, but the Russian twist, definitely not. Like 20 pounds is quite the push there. I'm not a huge fan of weighted Russian twists. I definitely think that was the hardest core move, but we got through it. And honestly, after doing the like intense split squats, all of the core feels like recovery, even if it's a little hard. But yeah, no complaints about that little core section. Then we got into our second main move, which was the same structure, 45 seconds, single leg deadlift on one side, 30 seconds rest, 45 seconds, single leg deadlift on the other side, 30 seconds rest, and we did this 4 times. Again, really appreciate we get 30 seconds rest after each side. Like this is really hard. Holding one weight, and I feel like another little trick that I've never done in a set besides this one, you do your normal like single leg deadlift where you lift your foot behind, and then when you're coming back up, you like almost do a bicep curl, like not a full bicep curl. You basically go into a 90 degrees position with your arm, and you can also like use your leg to kind of like bump it up, which that makes it a lot harder. It just activates the glute a little bit more. And yeah, I feel like that's why I kind of stalled at 40 pounds for a while, because I have done 45-pound single leg deadlifts before. But with that little extra move at the end of like bringing the weight up, like that's making you work a little bit harder. And I started week 1 at 40 pounds. Like I knew that that was a good weight for me. But today I went up to 45. And it wasn't pretty, but we got through it and I mostly kept my balance. So you know, what else can you ask for? Feels good to go up weight this week. Then we went back into another core set. This one is completely body weight. Same structure as the first one, 30 seconds, and then 30 seconds of rest, where we did 30 seconds of forearm side plank rotation and then 30 seconds of star crunches. This is like a very big throwaway one for me. Like the only way I can figure out how to make it harder is for the star crunches to like really just try to keep your feet and arms as close to the mat as possible. But especially body weight, like it's fairly easy, but I also feel like it feels nice after the deadlifts to have a little bit of recovery, active recovery, because then you are going into quite the burnout set, which is 30 seconds of dumbbell swing cleans, 30 seconds rest, 30 seconds dumbbell squats, 30 seconds rest. Repeat that again, and then finishing off with 45 seconds of one swing and then one squat, and just repeating that, 30 seconds rest, and then that 45 seconds again. So this really, really drives up the heart rate at the end. I believe my heart rate was like literally like 150 every single time that I did this. I started using 20 pounds and then week 3, I went up to 25. And honestly, today I was like, wow, the 25 are going to feel like really bad after doing my like other moves, progressing the weight. So like using 45 for the first time. But I picked up the 25s and I was like, honestly, this doesn't feel that bad, which that's a surprising feeling to me. I don't feel like I've ever picked up 25 pounds and been like, this is not bad. So I was happy with it and like, it feels good. I'm definitely not trying to go up to 30 pounds anytime super soon, just because with the swings, I am always nervous about form for some reason. Like I think my form is fine, but I also feel like going up too soon is a good way to hurt yourself, especially on the swings. And like, it was definitely still hard. Like I went up a lot this week. I don't need to go up every single move when I go up. So that was a good little finisher. And then the class was over. I do like the class. I like the moves. I do think they're like a little bit unique, and like I really don't like split squats. So the fact that I don't mind this split squat is like huge, but it's just not enough legs. Like this is all we're doing, and the only moves that we did were split squats and deadlifts. So that's my biggest complaint. I feel like you kind of run into that with a 3-day split, and like now I'm like, should I go up and try to do a 4-day or 5-day split? The 3 days just fits into my schedule really well, so it's hard to like go up more days. I just don't know how much progress I would really see if I was only doing this for legs for like a very extended period of time. But besides that, I like the class. Enjoyability, I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10. I like the moves. I love Jess. Great music, good vibes, passes by pretty quickly, and it is nice to have some dedicated core again, just to like actually work out my core, because otherwise I will not. For difficulty, I would also give this like an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I mean, I'm aggressively pushing the weight, but then I also think there's a lot of like little things that she does in this class that makes it more difficult, like, you know, racking up the weight on one side and not the other. Even a lot of the time, she's really focused on making sure that you have your elbows up when you're racking the weight, which I think just kind of activates the arms a little bit more, makes it more full body, makes it a little bit harder. So she's definitely pushing us today, but I am meeting her for the challenge. I was really happy with the weight that I pushed today, but I know I'm going to be sore tomorrow and I'm ready for a rest day. It is now Thursday morning, so we had a 2-day needed break from strength, but now I'm ready to get right back at it and finish the split today with a 45-minute upper body pull class. The description is strengthen your back, biceps, and core with this hard-hitting upper body pull workout. And this class, I like pull moves, but I don't like the structure. I'll get into it after class. I do realize editing back that I said the first day that the push day was my favorite, but then I give a higher rating to the second day. I think in the moment, the second day is the most enjoyable leg day, but push feels like it's structured the best and that I'm getting the most out of it, which is why I say it's like my favorite day. And then this day is probably my least favorite day based on that measurement. But you know, we're still gonna go, we're gonna hit the mat and get through it. It's still a good workout, still a fun time. So let's go to the gym, hit the mat, and knock out this final strength class. Today's class is structured very, very similar to the push day. So we're back to the increasing recovery, which I'm still unsure about. And at the end, we have a unilateral move where we have very little recovery in between the sides, which, you know, I'm also unsure about. But my main gripe with this class is that it gets heavier throughout the class, and I kind of get her logic, but also that just feels so bad to me. I really do not want to be picking up a 40-pound dumbbell for the first time, like more than halfway through the class. And yeah, the moves at the beginning are definitely lighter moves for me, which I'm not a huge fan of. And because of that, I made almost no progress in this day for the full 6 weeks. I made a little bit and like it does feel good, and also I do expect to make less progress, but it still is like at the beginning I don't want to push that hard because I know that it's going to be really hard at the end. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about this day. I do like the moves because since it is a pull day, it's mostly back and biceps, so jury's still out. But we start off, we have a 5-minute warm-up. This is actually completely body weight. We, kind of do things that we've done before. We do some shoulder cars. We do like on our backs a 3-point like goal post, which is nice, really like warms up the back. No complaints there. Then we get into our first straight set, which is renegade rows. I did 25 pounds for the renegade rows the whole time. And at the beginning, 25 pounds is definitely very aggressive. It's still aggressive now. I feel like I'm getting close to being able to push up to 30, but honestly, 30 is very hard. I do it without modification. So I'm out on my legs the whole time, not on my knees. And this is nice because we start off and we do body weight renegade rows for 30 seconds. Then we have 30 seconds off, and then we go into our 4 sets of weighted moves where we have the increasing recovery of 45 seconds on and then 30 seconds off, 45 seconds off, a minute off, and then a minute 15. Jess says that she's starting off with this because it's also like activating your core, which I get, but I would rather have this more towards the end of the class. After that, we go into Zotman curls, which, man, Zotman curls are hard, but I can appreciate them. We're also doing these on your knees, which I like more than doing them on my feet. and I used 20 pounds the entire time. Again, 20 pounds was very, very aggressive in week 1. Now it feels a lot better, but I do not see myself going up to 25 anytime soon. It is just so much work. You can really feel like this muscle working. And yeah, those are definitely hard. Same structure, 45 seconds off with our increasing recovery. Then we get into our first superset, which is reverse flies and then hammer curls. 30 seconds, and then 45 seconds recovery 3 times. I started off with 15 pounds for these. And in week 2, I tried to go up to 20 and it literally felt awful. So then I went back down to 15. And then in week 4, I successfully went up to 20s. So that felt good to like see that progress, where week 2, it felt really, really horrible. But then week 4, I was able to push through. And honestly now, like the 20s feel pretty solid. I'm definitely going slow on both the reverse flies and the hammer curls, but we're getting through it. I think my form is pretty good. And the reverse flies are alternating, which is a little bit of a saving grace there, but I do really like that superset. Then after that superset, we start going into our heavier weights, which just feels so bad because up to this point, I'm already pushing myself. And we do a lat pullover, so only one heavy weight. We're on our backs. Started with 35 pounds, and then week 3, I went up to 40 pounds. And I actually don't have anything against lat pullovers. I like the move, but I would definitely prefer to do them earlier in the class. It just feels so hard to be lifting this heavy weight so late in the class. And then after that, we go into lawnmower rows, unilateral, which again, we're supposed to be using a heavy weight. This one is a little weird to me because Jess is basically use the heavier of your medium weights. And in that case, that would be 25 for me, but that's way too light for unilateral rows. So I did 35 pounds the entire time, but I just feel like there's no way I can push up to 40. I don't know if Jess is saying to use a lighter weight because it is the end of class and we're tired, but I want to push myself, but then pushing myself feels so bad because, we've already done 40 minutes of strength and I'm lifting one of the heaviest weights that I've lifted all class. And then also I'm really not a fan of it 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 30 seconds on the other side, and then 30 seconds rest with no increasing recovery. It goes by fairly fast because you don't get a lot of recovery, so I guess that's nice, but it just feels kind of bad. That's definitely my least favorite move of the class, and it just hangs over my head because I know that it's coming. And then we have another superset to finish off, which I actually really like. It is supinated rows and then cross body curls, 30 seconds on, 10 seconds transition, 30 seconds on, 45 seconds rest. And yeah, I really like supinated rows and I also like crossbody curls. I did 20s the entire time for this. I think if I repeated this again, I would try to go up to 25 for the supinated rows and then drop back down with the 10 seconds of transitions for the crossbody curls. She says to use the same weight the whole time, but I do feel like the supinated rows are starting to feel a little bit easy, while the crossbody curls definitely still feel very hard at the 20 pounds. And with the 10 seconds transition, I don't really feel that bad about trying that out. So I would definitely try it out in the future. But yeah, this is definitely my least favorite class, which is pretty crazy because pool is usually my favorite. For enjoyability, I would give this a 6.5 out of 10. I mean, the fact that we do the rows at the end just hangs over me the whole class. I would much rather knock that out at the beginning, do the renegade rows at the end. Just not a huge fan of the way that the moves are ordered. Difficulty, I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. I don't think it's the most difficult thing in the world. The most difficult thing is the rows at the end and mentally going through it. But yeah, for the most part, we do get decent recovery. These moves do feel like they are good moves to do on a pool day. My big gripe is just the order. But yeah, overall, not my favorite day. And I feel like when I first took this split, I really liked it. But after repeating it for 6 weeks, I am kind of done with this split. I would either go back to Rebecca Kennedy's split and start repeating that again, or try a new split to repeat for 6 weeks. So if you have any that you really like, definitely let me know because I am interested in locking into another split. But this one, I think I am ready to put to rest. I just feel like there's a couple of things that I'm pretty unhappy with. And yeah, I would be curious trying a new split and seeing if I kind of see this stall on progress. Like, I don't really know why I feel like I just did not progress a lot during these 6 weeks, but I don't know if I just have unrealistic expectations from starting with Rebecca Kennedy's split and that being my first repeated split that I just saw a ton of progress. But yeah, let me know. I feel like the general advice is that once you stop seeing progress, it's time to try something else. And I definitely feel like I am ready to try something else. But it was still a good experience and it's definitely better for my fitness than just like taking random splits. And I do like the predictability. Like, it is nice to know what I'm doing every single week. So like, although I feel like I'm a little negative, I still enjoy doing this, and like Jess Sims is still a lot of fun. I would definitely take any new splits from her in the future, try them out, and yeah, I'm glad that I could commit to this for 6 weeks. It does feel like I'm working towards good strength goals. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!